Dickies Arena here in Fort Worth, Texas, as individual event 7 for the women about to be underway. I'm Chase Ingram. Along with me is Adrian Conway. Mike Arsenault will be joining us on the floor shortly. One of the best events and best finishes we've ever seen at the games back in 2014 in Carson, California. We've got 2.0, the push-pull.
We're going to chase the pump. It's 45 handstand push-ups anyway with an 80-foot sled pull from their feet. That's going to be at 110 pounds, 30 strict handstand push-ups to follow, 80-foot sled pull from a seated position, then 15 freestanding handstand push-ups.
Adrian, what are your go-ruck steps to success?
These rules are the same for the women as they were for the men, and it is strict rules. What that means is that middle piece of 30 strict handstand push-ups are going to be a huge differentiator in this event. And then composure reigns, and we've seen that each and every time the athletes take the floor. They can make it through very fast, but they got to be clean at the end.
And they have those 15 freestanding handstand push-ups. For more on those, let's go down to Mike Arsenault.
Well, Chase, all 3 divisions taking on freestanding handstand push-ups today. The team competitors did 10. We just saw the men complete 15. The women will do 15 as well. A little bit different for the men and women is that they have 5 sets of 3 reps to do. So it might be technically a little bit easier than what the team competitors have to go with. Oh, they'll be at 5 more reps. And of course, after 75 reps of different variations of handstand push-ups.
Your lane assignments for Heat 1. We have 4 total heats in event number 7. One person to keep your eye on, Georgia Pryor in lane number 5. 11 years of competitive gymnastics.
And this is the question. Does that gymnastics translate the same to this gymnastics? Because we are upside down. Does it apply to the strict and the freestanding handstand push-ups here?
45 kipping handstand push-ups to start event number 7. We saw the men change their strategy as heat to heat to heat. We've seen some break off 45, and I think the question is, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, that's right. That's certainly the statement in the lesson I think that we've seen reign true very much, and I think athletes understand this, but it's often a hard lesson learned in our space, meaning that sometimes you just got to go out like a knucklehead and think that you have the capacity and learn the hard way. In fact, everyone listening to the broadcast and watching, joining with us, probably experienced that at some point, and you got to try to reconcile it. How do you do that? You break it up early and often and live to go intense at the end.
Yeah, we've all dragged our knuckles across the affiliate floor every once in a while. Lexi Neely, 35 reps in. Top left corner of your screen is the time. We're approaching that 1 minute. If you look to the right, that is your athlete that it is in the lead. And the other athletes to the right is how many reps they are behind the leader. So Lexi Neely is done with her first 45 reps right at the 110 mark. 80 feet on that sled pull, 110 pounds. Now they're starting standing in the first sled pull. They have 2 total, where the second one will be seated on that platform in the back. Now they just can't use leverage as far as stepping back or using their body to gain an advantage on the pull. They just got to stand there and pull the rope.
That's right. The standard essentially is that their feet must remain firmly planted. They can't gain advantage by moving them. If it happens subtly, it's not like they're going to have to drag their sled back, but that's the intention. And we see all of these ladies doing a really great job of using their entire body to create leverage against that 110 pounds that they're pulling there. Lexi Neely still leading the way, extending through her hip, really using as much of her legs in her midline as possible to pull that sled in closer.
Lexi Neely still in the lead. Julia Cato is trying to track her down with Georgia Pryor and Gemma Rader trying to keep pace.
All right, here's an opportunity for Lexi to create some great separation if these strict handstand push-ups are feeling good.
30 strict handstand push-ups for these women, the same it was for the men's heat. Lexi Neely in first. 8-rep lead on Julia Cato.
I think she did 12 unbroken to open that set, did Lexi Neely there.
Talk about that tape line they're using for these handstand push-ups.
Yeah, that thing is 10 inches wide, and it's essentially, 30 inches wide, 10 inches from the wall. And that makes it very difficult, Chase, because we've played with different standards in the past. This one's really close to the wall. It makes you very perpendicular, makes your body feel a little bit heavier, makes you use those shoulders a touch more. But Lexi's doing a great job navigating that right now.
And some would argue it makes you do it the right way.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, when we think about the intent behind the reason that we train the inverted push-up or the handstand push-up, it is to make it tremendously different than a regular push-up, and this forces that issue.
Lexi Neely, 4 reps left to go, and Lexi Neely making very quick work of the beginning part of this. And Lexi Neely went to the Butler University and has a gymnastics background herself. Lexi Neely got 11th at the Syndicate Crown, just 21 years old. One more sled pull across the floor. You can see one sled going the other way. That's Duan Zhang. But Lexi Neely all by herself. And she is extending that lead on the athlete trying to chase her down. Just past the 4-minute mark. The fastest time we saw for the men was 6:30. And I'm going to not put too much pressure on her, but I would say competitive gymnast, 8 years plus. Probably has some better balance. I know better balance than anything that I could ever do upside down on this freestanding handstand push-ups.
Oh, I'll say the same for myself, and I know exactly where you're going with that, Chase. I think that if Lexi can hold this pace and then get through with plenty of time, she's not going to feel the pressure of her surrounding peers. She's going to have the freedom to set the time to beat, and like we saw Saxon Panchik do on the men's side, that time could very well stand, not just for the next heat or the heat after that, but through all 4, if she can do it with fluidity through these final 15 handstand push-ups.
Second sled pull is done, and now we have 15 freestanding handstand push-ups at a minimum. It must be done in 3 reps unbroken. Start behind the yellow line. Head touches the mat. Control your... Wow, what a save.
We talk about the tripod position, Chase. She's doing a great job at sending her head forward just in front of her hands on that mat to have great balance. Oh, and she knows she got it in the tank.
Why not? 6 reps for Lexi Neely. Is she going to keep going? Yes, she does. Lexi Neely, 21 years old. Out of Indianapolis, Indiana. As we are approaching the 6-minute mark, Julia Cato and Georgia Pryor just got to the sled pull. And the amount of balance and saves we're seeing right here, and she's going for her last 3. Lexi Neely, 1 more rep to go, and the rookie takes the heat at a time at 6:03.41.
Wow. Hey, boys, try to keep up, said Lexi Neely.
So that's the fastest time we've seen, both the men and the women. As Julia Cato is done with her second pull, she works her way into her 15 handstand push-ups.
Wow. Chase, we wondered, hey, is she coming out a little bit hot? You called it for her, though, under the assumption, hey, she's got so many years of gymnastics in her background. She's 21 years old. She's not terribly far removed from those experiences right now. And she definitely showed us that she was more than ready and paced it more than right.
Yeah, coming out hot. Either a bad idea or a great idea, depending on your skill set at the end of this. And here comes Georgia Pryor. Also, an extensive background in gymnastics. Georgia Pryor, her rookie herself, coming out of the Oceania region. Went to the CrossFit Games last year to watch her coach compete, Jake Douglas. Now she's here herself. 10-minute count. Georgia Pryor, done with 2 sections. Each section, 3 reps. Must be unbroken. We have 3 Oceania rookies this year. Georgia Pryor currently one of those in this heat. Grace Walton, we'll see later. Daisy McDonald, what we saw her do on her hands at the semifinals. I'm excited to see what she can do in this event.
And that's the cool thing about our sport, right? Look at the range of ages of the rookies that were there. It ranged all the way from 22 to 32 years old. You know, people experiencing the CrossFit Games for the very first time in the latter years of their pursuit. Anybody can have a year. All you got to do is nail it through those quarters and semifinals one time, and you get a chance to live out your dream on the competition floor.
Just under 2 minutes before we hit that 10-minute cap. Georgia Pryor working on her last 3 handstand push-ups behind her in the yellow top. Julia Cato got there first, but has yet to get to that first section, and nice save by Georgia Pryor. Like to apologize to Georgia Pryor on the nice save call.
It was a great save. It's just the next rep she wasn't able to salvage the former save.
You will receive a nice handwritten apology letter from me later on.
This is that frustrating part where you get 1 rep shy of breaking through to the next rep scheme or the next 3 reps, and you just got to wait. Georgia knows that she's now experiencing that fatigue build up in her upper body. She wants to make sure she nails the next 3 before she even attempts it.
Second attempt on the final 3 reps for Georgia Pryor. Get across the line, get across the finish. Georgia Pryor, second to finish in this heat at a time of 9:17.53. Gemma Rader on the left, Julia Cato and Dwan Young. Dwan Young's kicked off her shoes. I don't even know if you're allowed to do that, but here we are.
Here we are. Well, here's the unique thing. We understand a lot of the men never finished this entire event. These points matter. Within the next 10 seconds, if they can finish another 3, it's totally worth it.
Well, you got to see that time. That time, Lexi Neely is 6:03. That time is going to matter in these later heats. So Lexi Neely takes heat number 1. Time of 6:03.41.
And it was Lexi Neely who put on a gymnastics clinic for all of us to watch. We've gotten to watch 4 heats of men go out and execute, and none of them were as flawless or as fast as what we saw from the very first heat of women taking the floor here and push-pull 2.0. Lexi was smooth through the pulls of the rope, but that's not where she needed to have urgency at all. It was the smoothness and fluidity that she put on display here with some excellent saves. There were 2 of them that I can remember, and she was able to finish and be very, very clutch at when it mattered most. This time could end up being the best time of the day, as we saw Saxon Panchik formally set the time to beat from one of the earlier heats of men.
Your results of heat number 1, Lexi Neely, as you said, 6:03.41. The bar's been set in heat